Coming to you from the Deep South, this is the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. High-impact leadership is not reserved for leaders, and it has nothing to do with your position, title, or rank. However, it does have everything to do with your character. It's time to climb to the next level and beyond, personally and professionally. Now, let's start making it happen with your host, Max Story.
Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about belief. So belief is actually discussed in chapter 2 of Blue Collar Leadership, Leading from the Front Lines. And in this 30-part series, today we're on part 2. So I want to talk to you about that. The chapter actually in the book is called I Believe in You. If you listened to part 1 last time, I was talking about to the reader, I'm one of you. And the reason is I'm wanting to connect with the reader as they begin their journey through this book. And so the second thing I want them to know after they understand I'm one of them is I want them to know that I believe in them. And in the blue collar workforce, a lot of times the people on the front lines, they don't feel like anybody believes in them. They just feel like people want to use them to accomplish their mission, and they really don't care about them. So chapter 2 out of 30, that's one reason I want to talk about belief in that chapter and here on this podcast. And again, I ain't reading the book to you. The book's more fine-tuned and focused. I may tell other stories and add in other stories as we go through this 30-part series on this book, but highly encourage you to go get it for your team, get it for yourself. If you have family members in the blue-collar workforce, especially children or grandchildren, this little book can help them launch their career. So what we're saying when we're talking about belief in others, first, you need to know about motivation and inspiration. Motivation comes from the outside, but inspiration comes from the inside. And so a couple years back, several years ago, I discovered a TEDx talk by a young man named Joshua Encarnacion. And that's it's not a word that I say a lot of times, that last name. So it's not a country word for sure, that last name. But anyway, Joshua put out a great TED talk on belief. And I actually opened chapter 2 talking with a quote from Joshua. And I'm going to read it directly to you so you can help understand. Because a lot of times people say, because I believe in people in general. I believe people want to do good, be good. They want to do a good job. But a lot of times I don't know these people, especially in the old days when I'm leading process improvement events and Kaizen events, continuous improvement event, that type of thing. When I walk into a new team on Monday, people I've never met, I believed in them the way Joshua is going to mention here in a second when I read that quote. But I didn't understand it at that level. I hadn't read these books. I had never heard of Joshua's TED Talk. And so I wasn't able to articulate it and teach it to others. But after seeing Joshua's talk, it all kind of come together and said, that's what I was doing. But I didn't realize it. So what Joshua says, and this is quoting Joshua, the dictionary defines belief as trust, faith, and confidence. However, that definition is selfish and requires judgment. I think we need to change the way we believe in people. We need to redefine the way we believe in people. We should redefine belief as encouragement, empowerment, and engagement. This definition is selfless and doesn't require judgment. And that's some wisdom from Joshua Encarnacion. And if you want to look up his TED Talk, it's Joshua. His last name is spelled Encarnacion. And just type in his name and TED Talk, TED, the word talk. And I'm pretty sure you'll find it. And it's pretty motivational and inspirational. But what he's talking about, see, when we try to believe in others, most of the time when we say that, to believe in someone, we have to trust them. We have to have faith in them. We have to have confidence in them. To have trust, faith, and confidence, we actually have to know someone. And that kind of belief, you can't believe in someone that way without judging them, knowing them, and judging them. And then at that moment, like Joshua says, you're being selfish. So what I figured out was exactly what he said was what I was doing before. And it's still what I do. It's what I'm trying to do in this chapter of this book. So whoever's reading it understands, how do I believe in them without knowing them? And the reason is, my whole intention behind every single thing that I do is to encourage others, to empower others to take control of their life and their direction, and then to engage them to actually go do it. And so I have the belief, which is unselfish and doesn't require judgment. I can encourage people, empower people, and engage people without knowing anything about their past. All I know is what I'm trying to accomplish with them today. I'm trying to get them to move forward. You may be one of those folks if you're listening. You can do this for your children. You can do it for your coworkers. You can do it for your boss. Can you encourage, empower, and engage your boss? Absolutely. And how do you do it? You do it through questions. You do it through your behaviors, through modeling behaviors. That's how you influence other people, including the boss. A lot of people think they can't lead their boss, but I'm telling you, if you want to lead yourself well, you can lead your boss. You lead his boss and their boss. You can lead the people beside you and the people below you. One reason I'm passionate about this, and I share a little bit about it in this chapter in the book, but I share a lot more about it in my first book, Defining Influence. But in 1995, I was 25 years old. It was around 2 a.m. in the morning. I was wearing old dirty jeans, old T-shirt, greasy steel-toed boots, safety glasses, earplugs, and an old dirty blue jean apron that I used to always wear to try to stay clean when I was working on. And that particular night, I was running a large drill press, a CNC lathe, and I was machining holes in steel parts. So I was at work as usual in the middle of the night when most people were home sleeping with their families. Those were the days when I was on second shift, third shift. Actually, that night was third shift. I was basically working 11 to 7 was my standard hours, but usually I come in early and I stayed late. So a lot of long days back then in those years. And I was actually in the middle of what would become a 3-month streak of working 12 hours a day for 7 days a week, nonstop, without a day off. And that was pretty normal. So on that particular night, an engineer, industrial engineer from headquarters from up in Milwaukee, I was in Alabama, and this engineer come down from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and he was doing time studies on the machines to make sure the rates were right and everything like that. And for some reason, he came out 2 o'clock in the morning. He showed up in my work area in the middle of the night. So that was pretty unusual to begin with. So he come up, introduced himself, and said he was there because the plant manager had asked him to come out and do a time study with me because I was most productive in the area. So that was pretty cool that was happening. And I was usually always the most productive in any area that I worked in. That was how I proved myself back in those days. I had never went to college after high school, which I barely graduated. I always said, I ain't ever going to college. I have no interest in going back to school. I'm glad to be done with school, that sort of thing. So this engineer comes up and talks to me, and he starts telling me about the plant manager believed in me and my potential, and I needed to go to school, back to college is what he was talking about, and basically said the plant manager conveyed to him if I'd go back to college and grow and develop myself, that I had a lot of potential in that organization. So at that time, I had been there about 6 years or so, and basically I had just been doing a good job and had got moved around to a couple of different machines. So anyway, this guy, his last name was Patel. I've never seen him since then and never saw him before then, and I'd actually like to know who he is, but I've tried to research and find him, but I haven't been able to locate that guy. And anyway, he just started doing what he was there to do, recording times, and we just had small talk. But he was actually believing in me like Joshua was talking about. The whole time, he transferred the belief of the plant manager through him to me. But this guy didn't even know me, but he was encouraging me, he was empowering me, and he was engaging me. He was doing exactly what this quote from Joshua that I read earlier tells us that we can do. And he was doing it to me. He didn't have to know me. And the whole night that he was there, the whole however many hours he was there, all I did was tell him, I ain't going back to school. I hate school. You don't know who you're talking to. I understand what you're saying, but I ain't interested. And we went round and around like that. And he was a super nice guy. And all he was doing was wanting me to do more, be more, and have more. But I didn't understand really at the moment that he was purely expressing belief in me without judging me. And it was a selfless type belief. So anyway, he left. I carried on about my night like it was any other night. But something unique happened. Something weird and interesting happened. The very next quarter, at that time, it was not semesters, it was quarters. The very next quarter, I had done my research and registered to begin at a community college. And I promise you, that happened that night because that guy, Mr. Patel, don't remember his first name, and he was a young guy, wasn't a whole lot older than me, but he simply believed in me. And because of that belief, I believed in myself, and I started asking myself questions. Like, what if I went to college? What would change? Should I do it? Could I do it? How could I do it? When could I do it? And then what was cool is I actually did it. So Dr. Stephen Covey wrote The 7 Habits. You've heard me talk a lot about that in my other podcasts if you've been listening. But he said something pretty cool. Dr. Covey says, we already live with many scripts that have been handed down to us. The process of writing our own script is actually more a process of rescripting. As we recognize the ineffective scripts within us, we can proactively begin to rescript ourselves. And that's what I started doing that day. I started rescripting myself. I figured out I can do whatever I want to do. So I started college as a single parent while working long hours and weekends, trying to make ends meet. And I didn't enjoy high school, so volunteering for more schooling formally was a big sacrifice. But what happened was when I began to change my thoughts began to change my life. And I ain't saying you have to go to college. But if you want things to change, you must change the way you think. That's what I'm saying. And no, you don't have to go to college to live better. I always tell people, I don't even remember anything really that I learned in college. But it got me a key to a door and got me in some really cool jobs later because I had that degree, because HR departments required a degree. So I had the degree. That's all I did was I wanted a key to the door. But what I tell people about college is one place you can get an education, but by no means is it the only place you can get an education. My son probably is never going to go to college. He's making high in the six-figure range, and he's been doing that for quite a while, and he continues to do it whenever he wants to do it. And it's pretty amazing. I know a lot of people, a lot of business owners, a lot of CEO type people. They have only a high school formal education, but believe me, they got a PhD in results. They got an education in life. They got an education in getting results. But they didn't get there by choosing to go to high school and then stop learning for the rest of their life. You can learn reading a book. You can learn listening to podcasts like this. You can listen to audios. You can get experience. There's tons of ways of learning. If you need a college degree or want a college degree, make it happen. If you don't, be intentional, learn and grow and develop yourself in whichever kind of area, in whichever kind of way you need to get to where you want to be. But remember this, don't be goal-oriented. Don't get there and stop. Be growth-oriented. Being growth-oriented means you're never going to stop. Walter P. Chrysler said this, and I'll wrap up after this. The reason so many people never get anywhere in life is because when opportunity knocks, they're out in the backyard looking for 4-leaf clovers. And I remember hearing John Maxwell say a long time ago, luck is where preparation intersects opportunity. You get prepared, you're going to make your own luck. You wait for an opportunity to come, then you're not prepared. Somebody else is going to get the opportunity, and it won't be you. So I believe in you. Remember, and I believe in you in a way. I don't know you. I don't ever have to know you to believe in you, because all my goal is exactly what Joshua said. I want to encourage you, empower you, and engage you to go to the next level and beyond. And you can be that person for someone else. So I hope you had a nugget or two to mind from today's lesson. But at a minimum, believe in yourself. If you got children or grandchildren, express this type of belief in them. It's really unconditional belief. It's kind of like unconditional love, but different, right? Unconditional love means you love someone regardless of who they are and where they are. Unconditional belief means you don't have to know someone to believe in them, regardless of where they are, who they are, regardless of their past. Simply to have a belief in someone unconditionally. When you loan your belief to them, a lot of times it causes them to have belief within. So have a great day. Talk to you next time.
Make it happen or someone else will. It might as well be you. Are you serious about taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond? Check out Mac Story's Blue Collar Leadership series books and others, now available on audio, along with paperback and ebooks at Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. Please visit bluecollarleadership.com to learn about Mac's books, programs, special offers, certifications, and more. Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast.